Good afternoon, students. I hope all you are safe in your house and be in the home and be safe. Today, I am here with you to deal with the third lesson of 8th standard English. So before going to start the lesson, let me talk something. Dear students, in this world, the human beings are the great creature of the God. He is the great one in all with comparing to all the other animals and other creatures. But what was happening if we turn back and see our history of the world? Even though all are human beings, the society has been divided on the basis of caste, color and the class. So, in India, we come to know that if we read the history, we come to know how the upper caste people have treated the lower caste people. Just like an animal, they have treated them. Not only in India, in South Africa, also there was also this system was it. The society has been divided on the basis of color. The people who are in black in color were treated like animals. They will have no rights. They had no rights for them. So, and Gandhiji also, he experienced an incident that once he was going in a train and he is having the first compartment ticket also. But the passengers who were there on that compartment opposed him and told him to go to another compartment. But Gandhiji refused to go. So after some time, some two policemen came and forcefully shifted him to forcefully thrown him out from the train with his baggage. Because he was an Indian or he was in black in color. So, like that, so many, the society has divided on the basis of color and class and caste. So, to overthrow this system, so many religious reformers worked to improve this society, to religious this society, to reform this society. In that we may say Mahatma Gandhi is there, in South Africa Nelson Mandela is there. Nelson Mandela, he was in the prison, nearly 26 he was in the prison. We have to appreciate his patience. After that, he was came out from the released from the jail, and after that he was become the president of South Africa. So like this, these type of systems were there in this world. Today also it is there, but not that much. Ambedkar has given the rights and the legal protection to these castes, those who were treated badly from the upper caste people. So here is one of the lesson. ಅಂತೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರಪಂಚದಲ್ಲಿ ಹಲವಾರು ಪ್ರಪಂಚದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಮಾಜ ಹೇಗಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಕೆಲವು ಸಮಾಜಗಳು ವರ್ಗ ಆಧಾರಿತವಾಗಿ ಡಿವೈಡ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾವೆ, ಇನ್ನು ಕೆಲವು ಜಾತಿ ಆಧಾರಿತವಾಗಿ ಡಿವೈಡ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಇನ್ನು ಕೆಲವು ವರ್ಣ ಆಧಾರಿತವಾಗಿ ಡಿವೈಡ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಇದನ್ನ ಸುಧಾರಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಸುಧಾರಣೆಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಟುಡೇ the lesson today we are going to learn, that is Jamaican Fragment. What is the lesson name? Jamaican Fragment. Jamaican Fragment. The author of this lesson, A.L. Hendricks. A.L. Hendricks. A.L. Hendricks. So in this poem, in this lesson, the author is narrating his own experience, that how he has misunderstood a situation, how he was suffered from the prejudice, that what he has been, how he has misunderstanding a game which was played by two boys. So that has been narrated in this particular lesson. So before going to start the lesson, let's know about the author. A. Hendricks, page number 39, students, and you have to observe my reading and pronunciation. A. Hendricks is a prolific writer. Some of his short stories appeared in the issues of the magazine Focus. He is a West Indian writer, and his writings carry the flavor inherent in the Caribbean literature. The story Jamaican Fragment brings out the prejudice that almost every person suffers from when it comes to the denominational issues like color, caste and class. So Hendricks was a prolific writer. Observe the word prolific. Prolific means samruddhavada. Prolific, P-R-O-L-I-F-I-C. P-R-O-L-I-F-I-C. Prolific means samruddhavada. It means to say that he was a very resourceful person. He has so much of knowledge. Some of his short stories appeared in the issues of the magazine Focus. So, the poems or the stories, he has written so many short stories And those stories were printed in the magazine Focus. He is a West Indian writer. So this handbook belongs to which country? West Indies. You know the West Indian cricket team? They were all in black in color. So that West Indian writer, and his writings carry the flavor inherent in the Caribbean literature. So his writings carry the flavor of inherent in the Caribbean literature. Here, flavor inherent with ಅಂತರ್ಗತವಾದ ಪರಿಮಳ. ಅಂತರ್ಗತವಾದ ಪರಿಮಳ ಅಂದರೆ ಅವರ ಒಂದು ಬರಹದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆರೇಬಿಯನ್ ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯದ ಅಂತರ್ಗತವಾದ ಪರಿಮಳವನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕಾಣಬಹುದು. ಅಂದರೆ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ there was a flavor of the literature of Caribbean in his writings. ಅಂದರೆ ಅವರ ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ, ಅವರ ಒಂದು ಬರಹದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆರೇಬಿಯನ್ ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯದ ಪರಿಮಳವನ್ನು ನಾವು ಕಾಣಬಹುದು. The story Jamaican Fragment brings out the prejudice that almost every person suffers from. So, in this lesson, it took out the prejudice that this A.L. Hendrix was having. Every person suffers from prejudice. We have so much of prejudice in so many things that we have to came out from that. When it comes to the denominational issues like color, caste and class. So we have some prejudice about the denominational issues like color, caste and the caste. So here also the author has some prejudice, and at last he come to know that he was wrong. He was suffered from prejudice. So like that. Let's start the lesson. Paragraph number 1, page number 39. Every day I walk a half mile from my home to the rail track lines in the morning, and from the lines to my home in the evening. The walk is pleasant. You can see on either side red and green roofed bungalows, green lawns and gardens. The exercise is good for me, and now and then I learned something from a little incident. One morning, about halfway between my front gate and the rail track, I noticed two boys playing in the garden of the more modest cottages. They were both very little boys. One was 4 years old perhaps, the other 5. The bigger of the two was a sturdy youngster, very dark, with a mat of coarse hair on his head and cold black eyes. He was definitely a little Jamaican, strong little Jamaican. The other little fellow was smaller but also sturdy. He was white with hazel eyes and light brown hair. Both were dressed in blue shirts and khaki pants. They wore no shoes and their feet were muddy. They were not conscious of my standing there watching them. They played on. The game, if it could be called a game, was not elaborate. The little white boy walked majestically up and down, and every now and then shouted in a commanding tone at his bigger playmate. The little brown boy dragged on quietly behind him, and did what he was told. So let's stop there. I will explain from first paragraph. Every day I walk a half mile from my home to the railway track in the morning. So the author is having a habit, or it has become practice, that every day morning he was walking from his house to the half mile from his home to the railway track lines. So it was his practice. ಪ್ರತಿದಿನ ಲೇಖಕರು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ತಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಯಿಂದ ಅರ್ಧ ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ ದೂರ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ರೈಲ್ವೆ ಹಳಿಗಳವರೆಗೆ ಪ್ರತಿದಿನ ಮುಂಜಾನೆ ಅವರು ವಾಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಸೊ ಎವ್ರಿ ಡೇ ಐ ವಾಕ್ ಎ ಹಾಫ್ ಮೈಲ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಮೈ ಹೋಮ್ ಟು ದ ರೈಲ್ ಟ್ರ್ಯಾಕ್ ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಮಾರ್ನಿಂಗ್ and from the lines to my home in the evening. So in the morning he will walk from his home to the railway tracks. In the evening from the tracks to his house. So the distance between railway track to his home was half kilometer. It was his practice that every day he was doing that. ಪ್ರತಿದಿನ ಲೇಖಕರು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ತಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಯಿಂದ ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಅರ್ಧ ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ ದೂರ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ರೈಲ್ವೆ ಹಳಿಯವರೆಗೆ ವಾಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಸಂಜೆ ರೈಲ್ವೆ ಹಳಿಯಿಂದ ಪುನಃ ತಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಯವರೆಗೆ ಅವರು ವಾಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. The walk is pleasant. Absolutely, that is everybody likes, not everybody, but so many people likes walking in the evening and morning, and it is good for health also. We have to cultivate these type of habits in our life. Present, you can see on either side red and green roofed bungalows, green lawns and gardens. So on that way, on that half kilometer way, both sides in that road, both sides there were bungalows were there. Either side, both side bungalows are there. How the bungalows were? Side red and green roofed, red and green roofed bungalows. Andre ಕೆಂಪು ಮತ್ತು ಹಸಿರು ಚಾವಣಿಯನ್ನ ಹೊಂದಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥ, ರೂಪ್ಡ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಚಾವಣಿ ಹೊಂದಿರತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಬಂಗಲೆಗಳು, ಮನೆಗಳು ಇದ್ವು. ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಲಾನ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಗಾರ್ಡನ್ಸ್, ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಹಸಿರು ಹುಲ್ಲಿನಿಂದ ಕೂಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಲಾನ್ಗಳು ಮತ್ತೆ ಉದ್ಯಾನವನಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗಿದ್ವು, ಇದ್ವು. ಸೊ ದಟ್ the way in which the author was walking, both sides of that way there were so many red and green roofed bungalows and green lawns and gardens. So that's why the author is telling that the walk was pleasant. The walk was pleasant. The exercises is good for me. The exercises is good for me, not only for him but everybody. It is good if those who are doing exercise in the morning or evening, it is very good for our health. And now and then I learned something from a little incident. So every day he was learning from a little incident. One day he has learned from an incident. That is, incident means something that happens. Incident. Something that happens. something that happens. So, the author learned something from a incident. One morning, about halfway between my front gate and the rail track. So one day, as usually he was walking on that road. So one day he was off way in that half kilometer way between his front gate and the rail track. So every day he is walking like that only. That day also he was walking. He was exactly in the half way. That what happened? I noticed two boys playing in the garden of the more modest cottages. So that day, the author L. Andres noticed that he saw that two boys were playing in the garden of the more modest cottages. Here observe a word modest. Modest means, noticed means modest, M-O-D-E-S-T. Modest means not expensive. Not expensive. It means, it says an ordinary house. So one day when he was off way in his walk, he noticed, he observed, he saw that two boys were playing in the garden of the more modest cottages. Cottages means maybe house. ಒಂದು ಸಾಧಾರಣವಾದಂಥ ಮನೆಗಳ ಮುಂದೆ ಇಬ್ಬರು ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಆಟ ಆಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದನ್ನ, ಇಬ್ಬರು ಹುಡುಗರು ಆಟ ಆಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದನ್ನ ಇವರು ಗಮನಿಸಿದರು. They were both very little boys. So the boys who were playing, they were very little boys. They were very small boys. ಆ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ತುಂಬಾ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಮಕ್ಕಳಾಗಿದ್ದರು, ತುಂಬಾ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಹುಡುಗರಾಗಿದ್ದರು. One was 4 years old perhaps. So the author is come to a decision that he may be the 4 years old boy. ಅವರೇ ಕೂಡ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರು ಒಬ್ಬ ಹುಡುಗಗೆ 4 ವರ್ಷ ಆಗಿರಬಹುದು. The other 5. So the other boy maybe he was 5 years old. Like that he has been decided. So here the bigger of the two was a sturdy youngster. A bigger of the two boys. So the boy who was 5 years old was a sturdy youngster. Was a very strong person. Sturdy means strong. S-T-R-O-S-T-U-R-D-Y. S-T-U-R-D-Y. Sturdy means strong. He was a very strong person, very dark. So he was dark in color and with a mat of coarse hair on his head and coal black eyes. So the appearance of that bigger boy was, he was nearly 5 years old and he was very dark and he had a mat of coarse hair on his head and a coal black eyes. This was the appearance of that 5 years old boy. He was definitely a little Jamaican. So now the author has decided that the boy who was that appearance was really a Jamaican, because the people of Jamaica was look like that only. They were always dark in color and they were having a mat of coarse hair on their head and they were so black and also they were having a coal black eyes. So he was definitely a Jamaican. It means to say that he ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಲೇಖಕರು ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂದರೆ, ಆ ಹುಡುಗರು ಏನು ಇಬ್ಬರು ಆಟ ಆಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲ ಅವರ ಒಂದು ಫಿಸಿಕಲ್ ಅಪಿಯರೆನ್ಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಂದರೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ಬ 4 ವರ್ಷದ ಹುಡುಗ ಇದ್ದ, ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬ 5 ವರ್ಷದ ಹುಡುಗ ಇದ್ದ. ಆ 5 ವರ್ಷದ ಹುಡುಗ ತುಂಬ ಕಪ್ಪಗಿದ್ದ, ಅವನ ತಲೆಯ ಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು ರೀತಿ ಜೋಡಿಸಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕೂದಲಿದ್ವು, ಮತ್ತು ಒಂದು ರೀತಿ ಕಪ್ಪನೆಯ ಕಣ್ಣುಗಳನ್ನು ಅವನು ಹೊಂದಿದ್ದ. ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ನೋಡಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅನಿಸ್ತು ಅವನು ಜಮೈಕಾದ ಹುಡುಗ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅನಿಸ್ತು. ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಂಗ್ ಲಿಟ್ಲ್ ಜಮೈಕನ್. Not only he was Jamaican, he was a strong little Jamaican. Then the other little fellow was smaller but also sturdy. The other boy was there, no? He was also small, but he was also sturdy. He was also strong. ಅವನು ಕೂಡ ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬ ಹುಡುಗ ಇದ್ನಲ್ಲ, ಅವನು ಕೂಡ ಚಿಕ್ಕವನಿದ್ದ, ಆದರೆ ಅವನು ಕೂಡ ಬಲಶಾಲಿಯಾಗಿದ್ದ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. So let's stop here. In the next class I will continue this lesson. Today I will going to give one homework for you. Write it. Question number 1 for homework. Why was the morning walk pleasant? Pleasant to Mr. A.L. Andrews. The second question, the exercise is good for me. Good for me. The exercise is good for me, says the narrator. Says the narrator. What was that exercise? What was that exercise? So these are the 2 questions for homework. You have to read the lesson properly and find out the answer, and you have to write the answer for these questions. Okay, I think you have all enjoyed the lesson, today's lesson. Okay, thank you very much.